Everybody to the regular meeting of the Swanton Village Trustees, Tuesday, November 12th, 2024 at 7 p.m. First call to order is Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to number 4, public comment.
This number 3.
Oh, miss number 3, agenda review. Sorry about that. Anything to add to the agenda?
No, sir.
No?
We need to go into executive session for legal when we get there.
Executive? Okay, everybody happy with the agenda review part? Okay, moving on to public comment, number 4.
I have no comment.
You have no comment, but thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Number 5. Approve and accept the minutes from Monday, October 28th, 2024, meeting as presented.
I will move that we approve the meeting minutes from Monday, October 28, 2024 as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second to approve the meeting minutes. Any further discussion?
Oh, no changes, no nothing for me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried to accept the meetings minutes. Number 7, Swanton Village Hydro Department update with
6.
Oh, 6. Sorry about that. Approve and accept the village warrants through Thursday, November 7th, 2024.
I move they be approved.
And I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and second to approve the warrants. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Now, number 7. Swan Village Hydro Department update with Mr. Daniel Chevalier. Welcome back, Dan.
Thank you.
You may be our most visited person, I think, on the.
I think I am. All right. So, the hydro. I have a PowerPoint presentation here and some stuff to go over with everybody. Talk about what we did this year and the direction of the hydro plant and my recommendation where it should go. That's a current picture of the Highgate Hydro. The letters are not written on the silo, even though I think that'd be cool.
I just photo op.
Maybe someday. I just kind of threw that on there because I thought it would look good. Currently, the hydro plant is fully staffed. It's running. For those people who don't know, that we are manned 24/7, 365 days a year. Christmas morning, there is somebody in the chair at the hydro plant. Just a quick overview, there are 5 units. Units 1 through 4 are housed directly in the main,
Go back one.
in the main building, and then there's 1 unit, Unit 5, a min-flow unit, which is built directly into the dam itself. Unit 5 is a min-flow, it only produces a 0.5 megawatt unit. These units range in age and the capabilities. So these are the 2 original units. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, one is 1929, one is 1922. I dug this picture out because I think it was important for the community to see that they are still in place and that they are still working. A lot of the components are still original. They are the workhorses of the hydro plant. They're a little tricky to fix, as we'll talk about in a little bit here. But I just thought it was a cool picture to dig out and let everybody get a chance to see. After those 2, go ahead. There was the addition of Unit 3, which was in the late 1950s, which is a 3 megawatt unit. Again, this unit is still in service today. The hydro plant looks a little bit different, as you can tell by the aging difference of the building and the style in which it's made. But again, I thought it was really cool to bring this picture out and to show the community like how long these units have been in service and the work that's been done with them and keeping them in service to serve the community today. This was a really cool picture. I actually can't find the date. I'm judging by the car in the front yard here that it's somewhere in the 1940s, but that is, again, that's the hydro plant as it was back then. And then taxpayer from Swanton had sent me a picture of what they believed to be one of the original operators that was driving the car at the plant at the time. It wasn't my idea.
I approve that.
So, listen,
I
just want to say something for the record, that's 1985, and that was in style back then, all right? Okay, that was in style,
Very stern look.
yeah,
It's only gonna get worse.
yeah, that's nice, good stuff. You're gonna pay for that.
So if you haven't met the crew that's running the plant today, left to right, top left, Steve Boyer, first shift operator, 7 years of experience, very knowledgeable, very, very good at what he does. He is the preferred training coordinator for new people coming in. You have David Cassidy, who works second shift, Ron Pillman, who works third, John Greer Jr., who works swing shift. Blake Hancock was our intern this year. He did a fantastic job and is continually to text me to see if there's any openings because he would like to come back. You have Nick Williams and Josh Packard as the maintenance / backup operators. I am fortunate enough to have a very good crew. They are dedicated, they are hardworking. The two new maintenance hires are very energetic, very willing to learn, and they definitely go in with both hands to help out and whatnot. So we are fortunate to have the crew that we have, and I'm very grateful for that.
Who's most likely to replace you if you were to leave tomorrow?
I think Steve would do a good job.
All right, give Blake a call, he'll fill in for Steve then.
So I love comparing generation versus previous generations. I didn't bring any numbers this time because with the units down, it wasn't a side-by-side comparison because we weren't at full capability. But what I did was I did a side-by-side comparison of the water. The blue line represents this year's water. The gold and or brown line that you see in the back represents last year's. So however, we did have a decent year. We did not match the water that we had last year due to rain events, snow events, and other. So our generation would not be apples to apples. But it's interesting to look at it. I mean, you had both rain events in July and then one earlier on. But I like to watch these graphs and to see how they're trending, to see what the water does and see how close we can. We always try to beat last year's, but we can only do that with what Mother Nature gives us.
Well, that's a pretty good spike there, just out of December.
Yep, but it doesn't match the one in July. For some reason, that rain event in July, it's pretty consistent now. Some of the things we went through this year, this is the control ring for Unit 1. This, as you can tell by the pictures, had snapped. After a thorough investigation and actually being able to go in and look inside the penstock and look everywhere, we were not able to find a mechanical cause for this, i.e. a bolt, a breaking, a tree getting stuck in the turbine. We were never able to find a cause to this other than old age. That was really the only thing we could determine because there was nothing stuck or nothing acting out inappropriately. So this was very unexpected. We had determined that that was the original piece on the unit.
And that hole there is for what? That's the weak spot?
So you can see the hole right there, if you go to the next slide, is actually where that bolt and that control arm slides down into to help pivot the ring.
Okay.
The picture on the right-hand side was the new ring that we had manufactured with us. We had to change how we do things, and I hope we are allowed to do this going forward. In order to fix this, you would have to have taken the whole generator off, the shaft out, and pulled that blue ring up off the top. And unfortunately, that would have been very expensive. We were actually able to fabricate a ring. The company we worked with out in New York, Powerhouse Technologies, was able to fabricate the new ring into two pieces, so we were able to just clamp it on and not have to disassemble 90% of the unit. As Bill said in previous meetings, meshing up old parts with new parts was a little tricky, so we had a couple delays. But other than that, it didn't go too bad. I think most of the wait time was for lead time for them to actually make it. And this is the Unit 1 currently in service today. It is running right now as we speak at its full capacity, and there are no restrictions. It is running as if we had never had the issue. The last thing that we had a problem with was once we got the ring, I actually wanted to show you guys the wiki gates. Bill says it all the time in the meetings, but the wiki gates are those individual paddles all the way around it. You have to make sure that each individual wiki gate is attached correctly, and you can adjust those. So if you have one that's a little more open than the other, they all don't open correctly. So that took us a little bit of time. And then you have the two long blue control arms. If those aren't set correctly, you can hyperextend and open up too much or not open up enough. So instead of making 1.2 megawatts, you only make 900. So we had to spend some time calibrating that, but it is currently back up and running, and it is operating as designed. And I'm pretty excited to be able to report that to you. It took some work, and we had to learn a few things about this unit, but it was definitely a giant step forward for us. So I predict that it's going to be in service and be able to service the community of Swanton Highgate for a while. Another enhancement, these are the new manhole covers that were put in. The old ones were original, essentially the bolts were coming out of the concrete and then they were coming to a manhole cover. We had been plagued for years that we would rip the bolts out and we couldn't put the covers on. Well, why is that a big deal? If I can't put the covers on, I can't read water. If I can't read water, I can't, it takes the entire plant out of service. So we were fortunate enough to get approved to be able to put these in. These are the access points for 1 and 2. The schematic on the left-hand side is exactly the new design. So instead of bolting into concrete and risks breaking that, the riser bolts into itself, so metal to metal with a gasket, and then the anchor bolts you see on the side are what mount it to the plant itself.
So is it a sleeve that slides down?
Correct.
And then has
Exactly.
a bunch of,
And you have a 3-inch lip on the bottom. So again, you're bolting down the cover to itself, metal to metal, versus
Yeah.
pulling the lags out of the concrete. It was
Yeah.
very well,
Solution.
very well designed, and I look forward to this. For plant shutdown, we have to take these off, and that was the one thing that used to plague us, putting the plant back together. So this is a big giant leap forward for us. And again, why is this important? Go ahead. Is that, you can see the access open right there into the butterfly valve pit. That is the, yeah, Susie, you might remember that. That's exactly where the water goes to get to the turbine. So with that cover leaks or we aren't able to close it, we aren't able to generate. So it's definitely an enhancement.
that's the cover where the ventilator,
Yeah,
yellow pipe was coming down.
yeah, positive pressure for a
Yeah.
confined space area. So, we were also plagued a little bit with Unit 2, something we've discussed about quite a bit and Bill's brought up. That's what the thrust bearing looked like beforehand. Due to the age of the units, there is no warning before this happens, and that's something I'm gonna talk about in a little bit, but it was kind of an all or nothing where it wasn't something we could look at, it wasn't something that we could inspect. And then all of a sudden, we had determined through a vibration issue that there was an issue, and this is what we found. It's important to understand that we don't want to find ourselves back in this position again, so we're going to work really diligently with the industrial professionals for this category to figure out different ways of making sure that we can track this earlier and make sure that we're detecting issues when they're much more preventable than actual replacements.
How old was that thrust bearing?
By 1980s was the last time I think that they did work onto it. It was inspected in 96, so.
So it lasted quite a while.
Yeah.
It did, but again, if it starts to fail, there is nothing that says there's an issue here other than somebody physically standing in front of the unit monitoring it, which is impossible. So upgrading what we do there is definitely something we're gonna consider.
It supports a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So are we measuring there on the right there?
So an update on Unit 2, because that is not in service. The vibration that's been plaguing us, we had them come in on Thursday and we did another test. The magnetic center is now good, that was completed. What you're seeing is the turbine guide bearing, and that is the red bearing that sits down by the wicket gates. This is the one off Unit 2. And there's abrasions inside this bearing, and ERG believes, and I agree with them, that what's happening is that the roller bearings have worn enough that as the rolling bearings spin around the shaft, as it's hitting those abrasions, it's essentially giving you a vibration like your car hitting a pothole on the road.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So luckily, this bearing is designed that whole middle section comes out, and they can re-sleeve it. So that's something that I would like to work on. I believe if we fix that issue, that will be the last of any vibration with Unit 2, and then Unit 2 will be back up and running. We have had Unit 2 running at 40, 50, 60% gate setting, introducing water. No vibration. When you hit 70%, there's vibration, and they think that that's the cause of it. So it technically is in service, it's just not in service at full capacity. So we're trying to push it across the goal line and get it to where it needs to be. This is Unit 5's gearbox. This is something else we've been identified as an issue.
Unit 5?
Unit 5, it is the butterfly valve to Unit 5. It is a manually operated valve, and that's what the inside of it looks right now.
And Unit 5 is our largest.
Our Unit 5 is the smallest.
It's the smallest.
It's the one over by
Minimum
the,
Oh, so
flow.
it's one
over by the
dam.
dam.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the newest one.
Newest one.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to have been there 20 years?
It was put in service in 2012. It was installed in 2011.
It was just when I came on.
That's right.
So I put these pictures in there to show that we are able to go through and identify issues. The problem is that we needed to identify issues earlier than say we have been, because if I wanted to work on Unit 5, I would have to find a way to get this valve closed, and it's something that was actually marked to be replaced a while ago, and then for some reason it hadn't been, so increasing our maintenance and increasing the capabilities of the team and making sure that we get these things taken care of is paramount for us. Which comes to the 5-year plan of 1 through 4. Me and Bill had a meeting with ERG, and we had come up with what could be potentially a new way of doing things at the hydro. What we're doing is good, but due to the age and due to the fact that some of these components may be closer to failing than they were when they brand new, we need to chart a new way forward in how we do things. So identifying critical components and parameters, we have those. Are they good enough, or should we be doing more? Selecting monitoring techniques and tools. One option would be is that they have vibration sensors that they would like to install on the units, so at the first sign of an issue, it trips the unit off, versus the operator checking it periodically. You know, taking the human component out of it and getting 100% monitoring versus partial monitoring. Data acquisition and storage. When a unit trips offline, we get some alarms, and we get a generic alarm that says, you know, X, Y, or Z. But it doesn't say what the unit was doing as it tripped offline. It doesn't say what it sounded like, or what it felt like, or what the temperature was. Some do, but there's not enough temperature gauges around. Those are the kinds of things that I think we can enhance where we can detect things earlier. There's more of a safe mode to where, like, I think there's something wrong here. I'm gonna take myself offline and call for the operator. Condition-based maintenance strategy, that's something where ERG has been helping me out. ERG, obvious, is Energy Resource Group, has been working with me very closely on, is like, we take something apart, we look at it. Do we fully understand what we're looking at? And is this good? Is this better? Is there something to be concerned? You know, like, the abrasions that you had seen in the turbine guide bearing had been there for a while, and we had always been told that that's fine, that passes. They're saying, no, you need to watch for that now. So stuff like that. Training, workforce integration, that's an easy one. We've already kind of been getting on that one. And then the continuous improvement and an update of components. This is kind of the blueprint of what we'd like to start doing with the units to ensure that they are being kept at their peak performance to service the community of Swanton and Highgate. I don't know what this is gonna cost, because we're still trying to figure out what it needs. We kind of went through Unit 2, we kind of know where that's at, because we replaced a bunch of the stuff, and we have it, at one time, mostly all torn apart. Unit 1, we kind of know where it's at, but the bearings on 2, the same ones are on 1. We have to go in and figure out where those are at, where their lifespan is. 3 and 4 are a little bit newer, but again, it's just, you know, these components aren't easy to get to. ERG has the resources to be able to tell us, you only got a year left on that, or you got 10 years left on that. This is wearing as normal, or this is wearing faster than it's supposed to be. Getting the answers to those kind of questions. And then again, updating new components. These are the exciters. These are something we identified a long time ago that we needed to upgrade. The exciters were installed in 1987. I was recently informed by Al Mosier that these were not designed for a hydro plant. These were designed to go on a battleship, and then didn't happen, so they retrofit them for us. And the unfortunate part is that these exciters are old enough now that they're tired, that the components are starting to wear out, and it's not like a car where you replace the starter and you're back up and running. The components in these exciters are getting to the point to where they're all systematically starting to fail, and without the exciters you can't run the units. So having the ability to upgrade these components to something a little bit more modern to our timeline kind of resets the clock. Obviously, we've gotten 30 years out of these. We have received quotes to see what the new ones would potentially go for. There is grant funding available. I would refer you to Heidi for those questions. But having these back up and running at peak performance really takes the headache out of starting and stopping these, because once we get back to the point to where all the mechanical portions of the bearings are working perfectly, this is kind of like our Achilles heel right now. So working that into the schedule hopefully. You have a picture of Unit 3's turbine guide bearing. I put this in here as another example we had Norcan come in last year, the year before, and they put a new bearing on Unit 3. It hadn't had one before, not like a roller bearing that we have now. And we had brought them in and we looked at the penstock, we looked at turbine guide bearing, and the engineer had looked at me and he said, you got 5 years left on that bearing before the erosion makes it so you're gonna start having cracks in the turbine guide bearing. Once you get a crack in the bearing, it has the potential to bend the blade. If you bend the blade, the center of gravity's off, and then you start getting a wobble, and it ruins the shaft. So when he said that to me, it was like 5 years. I was like, that's pretty quick. This is the old one that was taken out. Something that's open to us is that we either would have to buy a new one, or we take the old one and refurbish it, something ERG would do, and bring it back to factory specs, bring it back to as if it was new, and at that point we could swap them out. But even then, you're talking about taking the generator, the shaft, the wicket gates, the head cover all apart. But when the engineer looks at me and says, you got about 5 years left before you have to start considering that gets the wheels kind of spinning as to what we need to be, and as to what we need to be, direction we need to be headed in. So
reconditioning that is something they're recommending?
they are. We don't know what a new one would cost. They're saying that this will still be cheaper because we already own it.
Yeah.
So, it's those kinds of things that we're working on currently at the hydro, is either taking the old components that we can and refurbishing them, or what it is to buy new.
What would be the one thing on your wish list for next year, if you could just pull it off?
Honestly, the exciters have always been the ones to where, the problems with the exciters is it really does take an electrical engineer, and none of us really have that level of qualification. Mosier is an absolute total asset to us, and he's great. We can call him, he understands it, he's worked on it before. But without him, it really is uncharted waters, and having newer ones in that we were trained on, that we have a manual to take apart and look at these components, I think the exciters would definitely be one to consider. And then after that, it's going to be coming up with a robust a robust investigation as to where are these units at, which components are wearing faster, which ones are wearing normally, and which ones are marked for replaced in the next 5 years. And I'll be honest with you, like 3 and 1, we really couldn't answer that question. We didn't foresee 2 going down the way it did either. And that's because what we were doing was good, but there's definitely a better way, better opportunities to go forward, and how we monitor the units and whatnot. So.
How's Unit 4 going?
Unit 4 is a workhorse. She's been running good. She's actually the newest, 1989, 88, because the exciters were installed at the same time. That's what got us through with units 1 and 2 being down. Unfortunately, Unit 4 is the biggest one of all, so when you get to low flow, no flow waters, you aren't able to run it. But I mean, by itself, it can make 5 megawatts. So that's the entire distribution portion of Highgate and part of Swanton. But no, it's running really good. So, but we have manuals on that one that we can get into. Unit 1 and 2, the manuals don't exist. They probably do somewhere.
I was privileged to see that from the bottom up.
Yep.
Sometimes with mud up to my knees.
Well, the nice thing about this type of technology is it's just how you just keep rebuilding it,
Correct.
rebuilding it, and rebuilding it.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
I have parts of Unit 2's governor that we identified as an issue that are out for repair right now while it's down, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're rebuilding certain components of it to just get it back up. I mean, it really is solid. The Exciter's not so much, but
So is your plan to investigate these units further when you do shutdown, and then would that make shutdown longer?
theoretically, yes.
Okay.
I'm working with the RNG to see exactly what that would look like, because they did come up and they looked at Unit 2's turbine during last year's plant shutdown. They were there for like 3 hours, because they wanted to make sure it wasn't the turbine that was doing the wobble and it actually passed through flying covers. So I would like to invite them during plant shutdown, providing it's not, it turns into a 2, 3, 4 week event, because
Right.
when we're offline, we're obviously not making power. But I think having them, they've had the ability to see that the turbine's good, not good, or whatever, and they could kind of check that off the box and give us some recommendations as to what to look for. I mean, they are the subject matter experts, so.
Cool.
So Exciters,
Yes.
number 1 on the wish list
Yes.
for upgrades.
Yes.
$1 million.
That's for all 4.
All four of
Correct.
them, right?
And the best case scenario for us is we would get about 300,000 of that.
Okay.
That's about it. So we have Paul Nolan, our FERC attorney in Celeste Bay, an absolute star in the world of getting grant funding in the hydro world, coming here on Thursday morning to meet with us. So we will entertain entering into a, depending on how that meeting goes, with Celeste Bay. I believe she's gotten double digit in the last year awards nationally for big
Yes,
money for
to get up to
hydros.
300 or get us past the 300.
That could be for any number of things inside.
Okay.
So this is layered. We gotta do a 1, 3, 5-year plan, and all of it is expensive, but remember, if we have big water, we all know, unit 3 or 4 is down, that's a couple $100,000 a month down the drain,
Mhm.
literally.
So, what are the longevity for the investment for the redoing the Exciters? 30, 40 years?
Oh, yeah, 30 years, 40
30
years.
years, 40
Yeah,
years?
what are they, 36 years old, something like that right now.
Yeah, they're
Close to
our
that.
age. Older.
Yeah, they're getting up there.
We've had some boards taken out of the Exciters and
Yeah.
sent out and rebuild, and they're like, we can do this once, we can't do it 2, 3, 4 times, just because of the components, and the engineers are like, you're better off just replacing them later on down the road. But
Okay.
some of the control panels and some of the other parts aren't even compatible anymore.
And Dan and I have talked about identifying and determining capability and capacity of the 3 in maintenance, including Dan, and sending them to a higher level school, so they can actually do some of the lower level stuff,
Yeah.
which is still high level at the hydro on their own.
Yeah.
Do a little
That's a
bit more
good-
than what they're doing
That's a
right now.
good idea.
Some electrical engineering?
Yeah, there'll be a piece of that. He's looking forward to that test.
Yeah,
Got,
I
yeah.
have a question. What is an exciter and what does it do?
You have to have power to make power, so it sends power to the generator and helps to excite the field in order for the field to be generated. Once it is, it disconnects and the unit runs itself based upon its own.
Oh, so
ability.
it's just for startup,
Yep.
essentially?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
But without them,
You can't.
without them, no start.
Yeah, it's like the starter of your car.
Okay, now I.
Guess we
heard the
should
start-
call them
I heard the start of
starters.
the car thing, but I didn't.
Just slightly more expensive than the
Yeah,
starter
yeah,
car.
yeah. Okay, all right.
But, yeah,
Thank you. Sorry.
yeah. So, hydro starters.
The other thing I had on my list is that, I believe Bill touched on it earlier in the year, but we had FERC come and do a physical security assessment at the plant. Overall, we passed. There was some recommendation as to just tightening up certain things. The gentleman who came, great gentleman, former Marine, loves what he does for the security stuff, and he's just the little things, just to like tighten this up here, add some stuff there. We had a total of 10 physical items that we had to correct, which we did within the month and a half that followed afterwards. There was some documentation. He kind of shows up and says, well, what are you gonna do if this happens? You handle the documentation. He was able to give us some tips, some pointers, and even some templates to use to further that as well. But most of that's pretty much all been completed, and we are sitting really well when it comes to their assessment and what they wanted us to work on. So that was a little bit of an undertaking, but so. And hopefully within the next 2 to 3 years, we can upgrade to physical security cameras that are at the dam. Hopefully. That's for 2028.
At least 27, all right?
Yes.
Wow. Well, congratulations, Jan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me get two back online and then we'll talk.
Getting there, it sounds like.
All set?
All good, I
Thank
have
you.
no more questions.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. for
Thank
that
you.
update.
Well done.
Number 8, Swanton beautification update and funding request. Susie, or?
Yep, that's me.
Yep.
All right. So I'm just requesting the sustainment of the $5,000 annual allotment that you guys gave the beautification committee last year, and probably the year before. So as you know, the funding that the village trustees has been instrumental in supporting the continued beautification efforts throughout the community. And I'd just like to report on some of the things that we did with your money in 2024, or with the village's money in 2024. So we do the Village Green Park with the flower beds. We had 12 hanging baskets placed along Grand Avenue, along the Village Green Park. We have at the Veterans Park, we did some plantings on Canada Street. We just completed some tree and shrub plantings along Canada Street in the area after Webster Terrace. We got our flower pots and the boxes that we installed. We have some at the library, town clerk's office, the Swanton Christian Church, the Methodist Church, former St. Marie's, the Beauty Bar, Tax Pros, former Bob's One Stop. There's some of the Chamber of Commerce. There's some on Canada Street itself, over by Bees on Broadway. And then we do the terminus of the Richard Thompson Healthy Fit Trail, and what we do here, and the post office. And then we put in a new garden at the library, that's to enhance that area between the parking lot and the book return. And then with the help of Dean's crew, they did a little garden at the top of Gristmill Hill by a laundromat. They cleaned out some rubble there and put in some soil and some mulch, and it looks really nice. We've got a little pot that we put there. And so additionally, with the support of Public Works and the line crew, has been invaluable for us, because without Dean, they cleaned out that laundromat part, but they also bring in our resources for planting day, our mulch, our compost, and they provide us with some stone. And then at the end of the season, they take all the pots out and compost everything that's in the pots, so it's very helpful for us. And then the line crew, without them, we wouldn't be able to have the hanging baskets that we have along the park. So Dwayne's crew is very helpful, and the beautification committee also wanted to give a special thanks to the mowing crew for the way that they diligently kept the parks beautifully trimmed this year. So kudos to them. And in 2025, what we're planning to do is we've ordered some of those big 42-inch pots that you see in St. Albans. We've ordered 3 of them, and we plan to put one at the library. I think we're gonna put one over by the chamber, and one in the park. I believe that's what we had decided. We're gonna add some additional plantings to the library garden. We're gonna add some rail boxes to the bistro and the bakery. We're gonna put a picnic table and a couple pots down on River Lane at the access point. We have a local Eagle Scout who's working on a art memorial for the VFW. So this isn't like the art boards that SPAN has. It's just gonna be a very patriotic art piece that is done and approved by the VFW, since it's gonna be on their property. And then we're gonna come in and put some plantings around it. And then lastly, for 2025, which is not on the paper I handed everybody, but we're gonna take down 7 conifers in the Village Green Park. Heidi is working on a tree removal grant, and we're gonna replace conifers with some hardwoods as part of beautification's 10 new trees a year planting.
Okay.
And then lastly, I just wanted to touch on the boxes on the bridge. We had discussed removing them, and that was what a lot of the folks in the beautification committee wanted to do, but due to the cost of removing them, replacing the drip system, and then just like the amount of work that that would put on Public Works, I decided, in speaking with Bill and Dean, that we would not remove them, even though it's gonna impede the sidewalk plows, we're just gonna leave them up, because it feels like, I don't wanna make more work for Dean's crew. He already does so much for the beautification committee, I don't wanna like add extra burdens on him. So, in conclusion, I just, am hoping to maintain that $5,000, so that we can continue to enhance the community with our beautiful flowers.
Cool. It's in our budget, right?
We've always budgeted
Yep.
5,000.
Okay.
So it's not an increase, it's a continuation
It's a
of the
continuation,
wonderful
yep.
contribution
Yep.
and to help with the wonderful contribution the community does, to
Exactly.
maintain the 5,000.
So you don't need a motion, it's going to be part of the budget?
No, it would be nice to have a motion on the
Wanna do a
record, I
motion?
think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll move we continue the $5,000 amount to the beautification committee for the purpose of improving the beautification of our village.
Eugene, you'll have to do a second.
I do.
Okay, so we have a first and a second to continue on with the beautification contribution from the village for $5,000. And do we have any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
Motion carried to, and one abstain, to continue on with the 5,000 contribution to help assist the beautification folks in making Lincoln Swanton Village look fantastic. And boy, those hanging baskets were really beautiful this year. They were.
Well done, Maria Hudax.
And thank you all the beautification people, and thank you, Susie, for working on beautification now. So we're all set to go. Move on to the next one. Number 9, review and sign drinking water SRF loan documents for the Missisquoi River Crossing project.
Is this the
So
finally
we-
one?
We
Finally here,
Finally
have
the
it.
project's done, but the money's
Done,
finally here.
done.
So we finally got the loan documents from the state, well, it goes through the state revolving loan fund / Vermont Bond Bank, because it gets administered by the bond bank. So this loan amount, and this includes the construction plus step 1 and step 2, which were your engineering phases. So it's for a loan amount, a total amount of 2.21402, so $2,214,020, of which $1,107,010 will be forgiven in principal.
Nice.
So this one,
Nice.
it's a 0% interest rate and a 0% administrative fee. So the way the SRF loans work is there's 2 components to the interest rate. There's an interest rate and then there's an administrative rate, which is their like fee for administering the program. So, and your interest rate and your admin fee are based on how high your rates are compared to others. So we're getting like disadvantaged subsidy on it. So 0% for both of those for a total payment over 40 years of $27,675.25.
Can you repeat that one more time? 27?
27,675.25. So the first loan payment will begin January 1, 2026.
Over 40 years then?
Over 40 years,
At 0%.
at 0%.
We need more of those
Wow.
ones.
So we'll just need a motion to approve the loan agreement, and I have tabbed where everybody needs to sign.
I'll make a motion to review and sign the drinking water SRF loan documents for the Bristol River Crossing project.
And I'll second.
All right, we have a first and a second to approve the loan. Do we have any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried to approve the loan.
Do you want to
Fantastic.
sign it now, or do you want to wait until we break for executive session?
I just soon do it now. That
All
way
right.
it's done.
So, the first tab under chair would be David, and then
The rest of the trustees will sign as a majority of the governing body. So there's 2 places for everybody else to sign. And then Diane's gotta sign, I think, on every tab.
Blue ink, please.
Blue ink.
Blue ink. So she's what she's given us today was blue ink.
But you may as well hold off on the next one.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait.
Yeah.
So I've got, the SRF reimbursement. Like, once I submit this tomorrow, they'll send me back a DocuSign for our banking information. And then they'll send me back okay, you're ready to be able to submit for reimbursement, which that'll turn around pretty quick because you only had 1 page to sign, David.
Yeah.
Oops.
I was trying to get it
Oh, okay.
to the next one.
And then, I've been keeping it's an Excel spreadsheet, is what you reimburse on, a form that they give you. So I've been keeping that up to date, because right now we've got over $1 million on that request. So, we'll be able to get it turned around pretty quick. So,
Here's the treasurer.
What do you think about that, Damon? That's how you get
It's a pretty good deal.
that's how you keep a $1.2 million project
Yeah,
on track.
Yeah.
Loan forgiveness.
yeah. Pretty good.
It's nice.
It is nice.
Nice work, everybody.
You think about that hit, 27,000 a year.
I think that's
Yeah,
it.
0% interest.
Mm-hmm.
Free money.
Yep, that is free money.
Free money.
This
40 years.
paperclip goes with it.
You got the amount for your motion.
I didn't get the,
$2,214,020.
$214,020,
Yep.
of which I didn't get the $1 million number.
1,100,000, what was the forgiveness amount?
Oh, I didn't write it down.
Okay, it's on tape.
One something.
It's half.
That's almost half.
Half-ish. Yeah, I think it was. Just
Unbelievable.
basically half. Yeah, I know, it's amazing.
This next one's not quite the same.
Wow,
A little bit different.
it's a bigger project.
Well, yeah.
Yes, it is.
It's like that one and then the last one.
Why is the second one, the next one didn't take as long?
Different divisions of the state.
Yep.
Oh,
Clean water, I don't know if it's the number of
It
projects
is.
or what, but clean water didn't take as long. I've never had a project, and we've done several SRF projects now, that it's taken, we filed that loan over a year ago.
Oh, wow.
So it's,
yeah, it took a long time. it seemed to
usually
me.
it's a couple months.
Yeah, we're gonna get invoice for the final bill of that project this week, maybe next.
Okay.
Are you serious?
Some time.
Yeah, project's done.
Yeah, it's
But is
time.
there, are they gonna, sometimes there's a retainage that holds out for a little while.
Might be a little bit, I don't know, they'll be asking for something, that's for sure.
We've made payments all along, well, just
I don't know that it's
understand.
in correct order, but.
Oh, yeah, we paid, over half of it already,
It's amazing how well
Of what?
that
Of
project
which one?
went.
the 2 million.
Well,
No real
Oh,
issues.
yeah,
Yeah.
we had one request that was way over $1 million.
Correct, yeah.
Experienced
Yeah, there's not a
conflict.
tremendous amount of that.
Complications.
I was kind of frustrated because I couldn't go down and watch.
Are you good, Diane?
I missed the sleep by myself. I was at the one thing, and I figured it was gonna take weeks for that part to go up to, we
I
went
didn't
down.
watch any of it, 'cause I assumed you were working and then it was done.
We're good?
Because doing it,
Okay.
I know, but
All right, moving along, number 10, review and sign clean water SRF loan documents for the sewer plant upgrade project. Much higher number.
Much higher number.
Much higher.
So this is the sewer project that we had bonding authority up to $8 million. The SRF loan agreement was approved at $7,737,192
No sense.
with a principal forgiveness amount of $936,450. At 0% interest, plus an admin fee of 2%. So the principal and interest, or the principal and admin fee due per year, $415,911.06 over 20 years.
20, okay.
20 years.
Say that one more, the,
$415,911.06. And these years, like, because this is half the length of the drinking water, the state sets the maximum that you can do. And so this is because it's plant upgrades, they're only good for 20 years. In 20 years, we're gonna be doing another 20-year assessment on the plant.
Right.
Whereas pipes in the ground will last for 40 years.
But you'll still be here to do them, to remember this one.
No, I won't. I will be longer.
The rest of us won't be here
Thanks,
either,
Jen.
probably.
You can kind of hope so.
I will be retired before this bond is paid for.
I hope you're around.
Hopefully I'm around. So we'll just need a motion on this one also.
Okay.
I'll move we approve, we've reviewed and we will sign the clean water SRF loan documents for the sewer plant project upgrade.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second to approve the Clean Water SRF loan document for the sewer plant upgrade. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried to approve the SRF loan document sewer plant upgrade project.
So same tabs as the last one.
Same that, okay.
The documents are
Don't move the paper,
virtually the same, just different dollar amounts.
When do the payments start on the sewer upgrade?
Oh, I didn't even look. That one is gonna be a 2026,
Also,
possibly
At-
2027.
If it ends on time on December 15th of 2025, it'll be 2026. If it goes 1 week into the following year, it'll be 2027. You only pay interest on the first year, then full bond following year.
oh, thank you, sir. It's okay.
And as of right now, they're on time. But 2 weeks is, who knows?
The spare engine?
The centrifuge?
Yeah.
No, that's a problem, Arian. We'll talk about it.
So much for the easy go, plug and play component of the whole
Yes,
thing.
yes, nothing could be further from the truth right now.
That's right. I've used it for many years.
Oh, arthritis.
Want to do that one while it's open?
Yes.
This one too, right?
No, I don't know.
That's what happens
All right.
I haven't seen that.
do a lot of work.
Well, saw it before, but Heidi must have known that.
Actually,
Yeah,
see
this
it
is
better
the
on
one
the
that we
left
had
side.
signed to be eligible to serve as the pass-through.
Oh,
They all have it, they reviewed it.
I thought she gave me the heads up on that because I don't have the
No,
dollar.
I can still use the slot machine.
Big money, no whammies.
Big rest.
Diane, on the next one, do you have something more formally filled out, or do you want me to use this one?
Almost everything.
I entered the
You
first
did, okay, we'll use that one.
Number two,
Yes.
chemical engineers.
It seems like they're in a mood for signing and sign and go. You want me to grab that from you?
All the time.
They're signing as that goes. Thank you.
Who's boss? Oh, my God.
Let me find that actual beginning date on
I
this
was
one.
last week, I was back on the ship and I was carrying Murphy around in the backpack. I was
First
like,
payment, October 1,
I'm not
2026,
the ladder.
as of today, is the first payment.
Isn't that something? It's unbelievable. They let us go far.
Well, it won't probably be done until it's 18-month project, so until
Well, you got a point. You got a point. The other one's done. though.
just got getting done or started, so it'll go through 2025.
Unbelievable.
Next.
Unbelievable.
Number 12. Oh, no, number 11, right?
Yes.
Yes. Review and adopt municipal policies and codes for DCDP grant from the Quam Bay Abenaki request.
So this is the one where, as a reminder, we're serving as the grant holder pass-through for the Abenaki grant. And we previously agreed to do that. This just allows us to meet state criteria by adopting these model policies.
Okay.
So we would need a motion stating that, and then I'll pass it around for signature.
I'll make the motion that we adopt the municipal policies and codes for VCDP grant for the Quam Bay Abenaki project.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second to accept the grant for the DCDB grant for the Abenaki Swanton Bay project. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried.
Right near their names.
Okay. Here's gonna-
Oh, my goodness, right
Right near your name, Jean.
across from it, I assume.
Yes, please.
Why do I ask questions like that?
I don't know.
And if you sign it and then bugged up,
No bad
ladies won't be
questions.
happy.
No bad questions.
We know, don't we?
Been there.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Step up.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Number 12, discussion of Vermont Transco subscription agreement. And what's a Transco?
Velco,
Ah,
do you want to explain or you want me to? Okay.
So Velco owns the transmission assets, or they operate the transmission assets in the state of Vermont. Several years ago, they formed Vermont Transco as an LLC. Velco is a corporation. So it limits their liability when they run stuff through Transco. So lately, it's been almost every year, they have done an equity call. I sit on their CFO group, and we've been batting around. They were gonna do multiple calls over the next span of 4 years as a CFO, and it's myself, Grace from BEPSA, Penny from Morrisville, BED has a representative, GMP has a representative, and VEC and WEC. So it's more the larger, so we were batting it around, and a couple of the utilities were like, we're gonna have to go get financing. We can't absorb this amount repeatedly. And so then they went back, Bilko went back to the drawing board and said, what if we do one equity call? And then, right now, currently, you can defer up to 3 years. They've actually filed paperwork with the PUC to be able to make it up to 6 years. You can defer. So you can say, yes, I'm interested, but I can't do it this year. I want to do it next year or the year after. So they put this whole equity call together, and it's $150 million that they're gonna call in December. Our share is $601,800. We're gonna have to finance this. What VEPSA started doing,
I'm sorry, can you give me that amount again?
601,800. So 601,800. So VEPSA, a few years back, when their equity calls started to get more frequent, and they were really dumping a lot of money into their transmission assets, they started financing it for the utilities that wanted to. So for Swanton, we've some year bought our own equity, some year we've financed through VEPSA, and we assign our shares or equity units to them. And there's a whole accounting order now on how we have to handle it and everything. But we get quarterly distributions back for a sizable amount of money. We've got over an 11% rate of return, or about an 11% rate of return.
That's crazy.
So
That's what you get on the whole thing, yeah.
what I have told Grace, I'm gonna take VEPSA's lead on this, on when they wanna do the financing. Because one, I don't wanna have to go through the 248 process, or the 108 process for us to do it on our own. And I don't wanna pull that amount of cash. because it would make things tight for us. So VEPSA is leaning towards not doing a financing this year because they've got to do a 108 filing. And there's talk that they may branch, there may be another municipal that wants to go in. They're just gonna envelope it with a bunch. There's a bunch of us municipals that'll be using them. So they are recommending that we defer. So that's what Bill and I are looking for, is for you guys to give Bill the authorization to sign,
I have a proposed motion.
yeah.
Okay.
A motion to authorize the village manager to sign the Vermont Transco subscription agreement in the amount of $601,800 to include a 3-year deferral option, all financed through VEPSA.
So if you guys approve that motion, it would be for him to sign this, to extend the closing date, but then also, I would assume it would be when it's time, like when VEPSA's ready to pull the trigger, that he would be able to sign the documents, assigning it to VEPSA.
Yeah, I think that's all in there.
So
I think that would
signing
encompass.
to do this, but we're gonna defer for a little bit, and then eventually when it does come up, then we'll be ready to kind of go.
And
So-
we'll finance through VEPSA.
Yeah, it'll be fine, so it'll be, and what it can be is, it might be March or April of next year. You know, Grace is like, okay, we got, because the other thing we're looking at is interest rates are gonna be dropping.
Right.
Well, and
Like
that's just it.
They just dropped in November by 25 basis points. The feds are expected to drop it again in December, and they're expected to do 4 drops next year. So that's why, that was the other reason Grace and I have been talking for a while about, we really think we should wait to see where the interest rates go down to.
So Bill, can you please reread your motion that you wrote?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Motion to authorize the village manager to sign the Vermont Transco subscription agreement in the amount of $601,800 to include a 3-year deferral option, all financed through VEPSA.
And that includes the signature, the authorization, when the time comes.
Yep.
I will make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a first and a second to agree to give Bill permission to sign this Transco, okay. It's long,
It is.
but we're gonna give Bill the permission to pre-sign for
Vermont
a
Transfer
loan for
subscription.
600 and some odd thousand to be paid over 3 years. Any further discussion? And I think I understand about a third of that, but the last part of the financing
make
part,
money
that's
on it.
fantastic.
Understand 11.5%. That's what you gotta understand.
That's all you need to understand.
Especially Lynn's part. When 108s and whatever come out, I'm just a little confused on that. But, so we have a first, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried.
I
Make
wrote
some
it
good
down.
money, Gene.
Diana.
You know, sometimes you just have to rely on these subject matter
Well,
experts to
absolutely.
do the right thing, you know, like, we're
Thank you, Lynn,
not,
That's why he wrote it
guiding
down.
us
That's
through
why
that.
I agreed.
Well, Bill. Okay, number 13, update on website usage tracking from Google Analytics.
Yeah, I believe I sent this to you. This is more for just a public discussion than anything. This is extremely hard to read. But this is 1-year tracking of our combined EcoPixel website between the village and the town.
Oh,
And
yeah, I'm not gonna be able to read that.
in
Oh,
1 year, the total views,
I read it online.
I saw it.
total views, 170,830.
I think I was 100,000.
I believe it says here, trustee Kelleher, 102,000.
That's what I thought, yeah.
So it's really just an FYI. It really does show, and we will be able to share this, Diane, I think, on our Facebook page at the very least, and you'll be able to like blow it up. And
To clarify,
I don't know how to,
You can tell what months it went
Yeah.
on.
and that's just for
Something like that.
2024.
this is 1 year from the period of
Oh.
1/29/23 to 10/29/24. So
Almost,
not even.
not,
Wow.
no,
That's
Yes, a
no,
little
it's
bit.
almost,
18
it's like
months.
18,
The ones
19.
Yeah, 18 months.
Very high.
But that's,
It sounds like a lot for a small
it's
little community.
pretty impressive, broken down between village, and it gives you details. Anyway, we'll put the full details on our website, because you can't read this, it's too small.
Well, I can do it either way, but It's not, you
You
gave it
magnifying
to us,
glass.
didn't you?
Well,
Yeah,
did you
I gave it
see
to
the
you digitally,
email
yeah.
that Christina sent? Some basic info that the total pages were viewed 170,830 times by 39,096 people. The most popular pages were the home page, the village welcome page, the town welcome page, the town clerk, search, police, select board meetings, village trustees meetings, and contacts.
Okay. Are we more popular than the town?
Yeah,
We are? All right.
no, I didn't do that.
I think it's pretty close.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
Great.
it's a good little bit of info there.
so we don't need to do a motion.
So maybe, no motion
Just
needed,
FYI.
it's FYI.
FYI.
Maybe we take that.
Yeah, that was
Yes.
a good little snippet.
Okay, very interesting. Number 14, 2 coin drop requests for 2025 MBU FFA chapter for May 2025 and Missisquoi Abenakis for June 2025.
So the requests are starting to come in, and they know there's only 6 spots, May through September, right? October, May through October.
We have a maximum limit.
Do we have to do October?
Was it 6 months?
I thought it was 5.
I thought it was 5.
thought it
Maybe
was
5.
six.
I thought it was
ended
3.
in
Thought it
September.
was 6.
I think it's 5.
2.
But,
We do May.
no, it is May through October,
May through October.
Okay.
with a maximum of
Yeah.
6 per year.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay,
So these are the first 2 requests that came in.
May through October, maximum 6. And need a motion.
Yes, I'll make a motion that we approve both requests.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second to request the 2 motions or the 2 requests for coin drops for 2025. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just have one discussion question. This is for McQuam and not tribal, right?
It's from Aquam Food Pantry.
Thank you.
Just a comment, we usually have the specific dates and a rain date.
So I
we
do have those dates
Okay.
for FFA and BU. Saturday, May 3rd, with a rain date of Saturday, May 17th. So they know going into, they can't pick a holiday weekend or get close to a holiday weekend. For June, for the Abenaki Food Pantry, June 14th, with a rain date of June 21st. So,
Okay, so further discussions, no more? So all in favor of the accepting the coin drops?
Aye.
Okay, all, any nays?
Nay.
One nay, 2 yays, motion carried to accept the coin drops for 2025.
Democracy in action.
There you go. Number 15, village manager update.
Gonna be brief.
Really?
Really?
Were you just
No,
putting
I-
this on?
No, I really am. So the first one is just a reminder, you've all been invited, but for the public, the Board of Trustees have been invited to do a joint session with the Swanton Select Board at 6 PM on Tuesday, November 19th. Topics are gonna be a local option tax and concerns over the anticipated 2029 Vietnam Veterans Memorial Bridge to include funding. The town has invited the 4 representatives, House and Senate, to that meeting. I don't know who's accepted or who was able to attend, but
Okay.
I believe you've all confirmed. Okay.
Yes.
Missisquoi River Crossing, GW Tetro has completed this project. The last 2 things were installing the 2 remaining vault covers and the restoration of driveways and businesses, the aprons. It is now officially complete, and you will not hear me talk about this project again. It's done.
Any,
And the funding just came in, so that's good.
Just a comment.
Yes,
The repair work they did on Canada Street is amongst the best I've seen, ever. And I wish somebody would go to the people across, the big bump across the Canada Street in front of the parts store.
yes.
That's bad.
Yeah, so this is an example of, and GW Tetro admits this, they tried to patch that on their own, using their own stuff. And it was a little too big, and the pros came in, and they didn't tear anything up, they just redid it, and it is done perfectly.
It's done very well.
Yes, it is.
And we're gonna have to fix that other one sometime, because it happened, what, a year ago?
2.
2 years ago?
Almost.
It was late in the season, but I think it was 2 years ago.
And they,
Yeah.
I'm
It's
assuming
terrible.
they took
It
out
is.
a non-functioning manhole, looks like,
And which one, where?
on Canada Street by where it went down
Broadway?
to Webster Terrace. Seemed like there was a square patch and then they dug up around a manhole and the manhole seemed to disappear altogether. I'm assuming it was to a redundant thing, no?
No, I don't think they took a manhole cover out, I'm
No,
not sure.
our
Yeah.
village crew raised something
Yes,
Raised it?
in that area, but it's all covered now,
Mhm.
so it can't be it could be a manhole that you'd have to dig and get to.
right.
I'm
I
not
don't
sure
know.
what it's for.
I'd have to,
Yeah.
I'll research it and follow up.
Well, I know there's some,
But the village-
non-functioning
village-
infrastructure that goes down there now.
But the village did that work and then they paved,
Yeah,
somebody else paved.
Yes.
it's very low.
So then, the next one is, I received a call today from Joel Clark, talking about the fact that the overlook across from the VFW on the dam, right on top of the dam, was in poor condition, and was a real safety hazard.
Oh, the wooden structure?
Yeah, I had been down there not that long ago, and it at least was intact. So recent vandalism, it's long and narrow. Several spindles on the three sides have been kicked out to include at the end.
Okay.
So easily a child could fit through there. They kicked the top railing out so that's not connected anymore. The only option for this year was to board it up with plywood and say it's not safe. So that all created the question of, I assume it's on our land, we own it,
Yeah, we do.
but we didn't build it. So it looks like initial efforts to track this down is BFA Building Trades 10 to 12 years ago
Yeah.
on behalf of Swanton Historical Society. So the trustees, you don't have to do anything right now, we just gotta think about next steps for that, because if we fix it, we gotta fix it right, and with safety and security in mind. So, I think it'd be a pretty easy fix. If you would like, I can reach out for Ross Lavoy at Building Trades and see if they wanna take a shot in the spring at coming and repairing it, cause I don't think there's a lot to it. And then it's another shining example of, I can't wait till all the fibers run, because we have to have a security camera right there.
Right.
And just,
Well, that's kind of,
it's away a little bit, but if
Yeah.
it's high enough on the pole,
Right.
we'd be able to see that.
what about
That's a bad thing.
upgrading some of the wooden rails and whatever, get some steel?
Yeah, man.
Could do that too.
Kick
Just,
those out.
yeah, it's just money. It's a really nice thing. The other thing we could do is, we're collaborating with Northern Forest Canoe Trail.
Mm-hmm.
We certainly could say, hey, do you wanna make that part of everything we're doing collaboratively together?
Yeah.
And see if they want a shot at that. But just on your radar, it's unfortunate. It's another vandalism, but it is unsafe right now.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't notice that. I noticed that they started the lamprey.
Yes, lamprey treatment, that's not on the list, but lamprey treatment is, they prep today, they do the treatment tomorrow. We have to run hydro at a certain rate. Dan says we have enough water ponding to be able to just barely meet that, 1,000 CFS, and we'll do that throughout the day, 6 AM until they're done.
Okay, so
So-
slowly lower the bladder and.
Yeah, they just enough to, just open the gates, but, and run the turbines, so it'll be, 10, 12 hours worth of that rate, so
Okay.
that'll be good. Wastewater, so this project, again, I'm gonna say on time, on budget. Jason and Dylan are doing a great job down there. Centrifuge continues to be delayed, it was gonna be one of the first things installed. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that it's gonna be March of next year at the earliest. So it's a engineering problem is what it is. They're really trying, right down to it. It's gotta meet a vibration test, and the device is there, but there's all kinds of problems. So they're working on that. So the next big things there that are happening are, moving the generator utility pole closest to the lagoons. That'll go in an underground vault. That'll make room for the new force main. But every step of the way, every time they put something in the ground, they're finding things that aren't marked. that they don't even know that are there. So it's been a trying project for sure. Kingsbury is earning their money in this one.
It's a good Swan Village legacy, I guess. Wherever they
It
go,
is,
they find
but again, on time, it's a good crew. I was at their project meeting today, and they're doing a good job. Moving to VHB, if you saw a lot of activity last week in the morning, VHB, that's our engineering firm, design firm, for both the Merchants Row project and then the second iteration of that, which is Church Street. So they had their entire team out doing their surveying on the backside of Church Street. Real good progress there to include the area of 74 Merchants Row and Canada Street. So they really have mapped all of that, because that includes the first two projects, and theoretically, 74 Merchants Row and Canada Street would be project 3 and 4 if we can find funding. Any questions so far? I told you I was gonna be quick, I'm halfway there. So this is not an action item, this is meant only to put in your mind, probably if you agree to be an action item for our meeting on the 25th. So 74 Merchants Row, here's our predicament. We all know that we're now having a problem that we didn't once think possible. We have a parking problem in downtown because of the businesses, which is a great place to be, it really is. But we have a underutilized parking lot at Merchants Row that we know if designed well enough, which includes an incredible amount of work at a pretty significant cost. My guess would be construction is gonna be between $200,000 and $300,000 to do it right. But if you do it right, you're gonna have between 22 and 27 paved parking spots there that are dedicated for the downtown core, which is critically important, but it's not shovel-ready. So we're missing out on the ability to seek grants that mandate that the projects are shovel-ready, meaning engineering, design study done, this thing is ready to go. An engineering study for this, to get it to the point of shovel-ready, is about $25,000. And guess what about we have left in uncommitted ARPA funds?
About.
About $25,000. So Lynn and I can confirm that, and prior to the next meeting, it's really just to put that thought in your head, but we are gonna spin our wheels on that parking lot forever if we don't get it shovel-ready. And none of the money's gonna be wasted, it just might sit on a shelf until we can identify funding to do the parking lot. So it's really just food for thought. If you're okay, we can ask Diane now to put an action item for discussion on the next agenda related to 74 Merchants Row.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Let's move down to Marble Mill. So the electric department has run all the underground cables that we had discussed for the lighting for the tennis courts. So that's all connected. The 4 new lights will be installed before spring. This could range from be installed in 2 weeks to through the winter at some point, depending on the pace of projects, which on any given day right now, you just don't know. So when they have time, they're gonna do it. Let's talk about wastewater land applications. So you all are well aware that we land applied our dewatered sludge on the land we own off Woods Hill Road. So it went extremely well. We worked with a farmer. Again, you have a very tight timeline. You have 48 hours from the time your material first hits the land at a pre-designated spot verified by the state of Vermont to spread it and till it. So that was all accomplished, and we underestimated the amount, because you really don't know until you weigh it. So you weigh a load, you know it's the same amount going into every dump truck. Anyway, it turned out to be, we land applied 250 tons, not 137, 250 tons. So to put this in perspective, if we had to hire this out, depending on how it tests, to outsource it would have ranged from 50,000 to 90,000, depending on a number of factors.
Wow.
But again, it's why we have the land, it's why we have the centrifuge, it's why we do what we do with the dewatered sludge. It's a massive money saver to our citizens. And if we do this, if it's running, it would have been 3 times as much if our centrifuge was functioning properly. Yeah, so you think about it, it's between probably 50 to 75 $1,000 a year we're saving by having that land on Woods Hill and having the authority to land apply. Hydro, we talked about, can't emphasize enough Dan's good work up there, Dan and his team getting Unit 1 up and running, and it's nice to see it in pictures, because you can, you gotta have a deep appreciation for getting stuff that's 100 years old back up and running using brand new parts. So it's nothing you can just go and pick up at the hardware store. Electric department, so we continue to work with Weeman Lamphere on the design of a new facility. We're in the final stages of selecting a firm as a construction manager for the project. This will be placed on our November 25th Board of Trustees agenda. And again, we anticipate having no more than 4 public information sessions in early January to discuss the project scope and its cost. And lastly, we are firmly in budget building season with only a couple more departments to go, at least initially. So it is busy, but we're always looking for more new and exciting projects.
And bonuses for the PD.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I said, and bonuses for the PD.
That's all I have. She'll fill you in on that.
Yeah, no, I've heard great things, the lights down in the Marble Mill Park.
It's gonna be even brighter when the 4 LEDs for the tennis court lights are on. And those, because they're all LED, by the way, they're not on a timer. They're on a sensor. They go all night. And I think it's better for security.
Yep.
And it is pennies. It costs us pennies to keep that lighted.
Right.
And I think it's a valuable asset to have that lighted all night
The
long.
last dark corner down there.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the lights down the bridge, lights all throughout the park, that whole area is definitely different now.
Fiber will be here soon. It'll get installed. We'll talk security cameras installation next year. Yep. It's a good thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, that looks like it's gonna end the public part of this and moving into executive session.
Nope,
No?
other necessary.
Oh, you're right, Brent. Any other necessary business?
Just 2 things for me. Congratulations to all the winners from the elections this past week. Good luck. And a belated Happy Veterans Day to all those veterans out there.
Yes.
We do thank you for your service. Whether you know it or not, it does not go unnoticed.
Well, and that's a perfect way to start my hometown heroes. So I got 47 out of 75 that have been sold. I'm actually holding space for 4 now. They just haven't been paid yet, but, and then I'm still looking for sponsors for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 guys who were killed in action who are on the memorial at Veterans Park. So please get a hold of me. And then lastly, just some events that are coming up that I want to share. Yeah, right. So on November 13th, there's going to be a presentation on identity theft at the library from 1 to 2. On November 15th at 6 p.m., there's Ladies' Night Out in downtown in Merchants Row. On November 15th, there's a tea night at the library from 6 to 8. On November 16th at 11 to 1, there's a Thankful and Grateful Gathering at Creative Hearts at 63 Grand Ave. On November 17th, there's a car seat safety check here at the fire station at 10. On November 23rd at 10, there's a bake sale at Divine Treasures to raise funds for Charlie Cross. On November 30th, that's Small Business Saturday, and Christmas in the Park at 3:30.
Something like that.
And then right now you can register to play basketball at the Swanton Rec to the end of the month. And just so you know, there's Zumba at the library on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6:15 to 7:15, $5 at the door.
Great. Are we gonna put these up on the webpage so people can find them?
I missed, so 11:13, the identity theft, what did you say after that?
Is it from 1 to 2 at the library?
Yep, and then the next day?
November 15th at 6 PM, ladies' night out.
Okay, and then same night as teen night.
Yep,
So 11:15 was what? Ladies' night out, you said?
ladies' night out at, and that's downtown at 6.
Okay, I got all the other ones.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
Do we have a community activity village page?
There is on the website, I think, I can check and
Okay, I
see.
can't
Yeah, I
quite
think
remember.
there is.
Is
If
it?
it's
I think it's just the library who puts stuff on there, so, but
Library.
would like to expand it for promote
Yeah,
Swan purposes, so I'm just trying to kind of promote what I can see
yeah.
out and about.
Email me over that blurb
Yeah,
and
I'll give you the,
okay, perfect.
Yeah, so folks can find them,
Yeah,
yeah, on
I'll put on the web.
our Google Analytics.
and that's all I have. You have anything, Gene?
No, I'm all set.
Okay, flags look fantastic in the park.
Yes, they'll come down Saturday, but it's been a great, you know, the fire department came in and, with the big flag, we did a photo op with the flag draped over all the
Saw that,
flags. It was a windy day, so it was a challenge, but, you know, it's an honor for me to do it. I never served, but it's an honor to recognize those 150 people that, you know, they gave their time and their energy to this country, so.
And there's still open availability to get a flag, right?
That's my understanding. There's been talk about expanding it to 200 flags. I'm concerned about that amount simply
Same.
because I'm one of, you know, I was the youngest one of the crew until the fire department showed up. So,
We'll cover you in the spring with MBU softball. In the fall, I
there we
can't-
go.
I
Oh, I
can't get 'em
know,
there.
you know, but the fire department came through in a huge way, so, you know, hats off to them for stepping up and helping us out. We got there about 8:45 and I was gone at 10:05. So,
Adam, is there room for 50 more flags where they are now, or would there be a second spot?
I'm not sure, we've thrown around maybe putting something out over on Veterans Memorial Park, but we don't know, you know, we'd have to have some discussion, because I think the Memorial Park would be more for the KIAs and, you know,
How many
Guys
in a
on the
row now?
monument.
the guys on the monument,
You got 30 in a row or 40 in a row?
25.
25 in a row?
And then not only that, but the flags in the park, you have duplicates. You have some people who have 2 or 3 flags
I
in their
think there's
name.
only 3 people that do, I think,
For the same individual?
yeah.
3, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right, there is 3, but still, I mean, I don't know, I just think of it in the lines of like streamlining things and
Right.
trying to, like, 1 per person or 1
Yeah.
per person per branch of service. Like, if you have like Doc Steinmetz, right, he was in the Army and he was in the Navy, you wanna buy one for him being in the Army and one for him being in the Navy, I can see that, you know, but
Right.
it's, I don't know, I just think streamlining things, cause we're gonna have to put 200 flags in that little space between the bandstand and the swans. I don't know
It-
that, I
it's-
don't know if
I-
we're
I
gonna do
don't know.
that. And the swan pond's getting enlarged.
So, is it?
A little bit. Well, there's still a lot of park.
Oh, yeah. Again, we may do something different, you know, it'll be a discussion. I think we gotta get to Memorial Day
Yeah,
and see where we're at with the number of flags, cause it's, you know, when we started this, they were $50 a piece. Now they're $150 a piece.
Mhm.
So, that's the first challenge to get beyond, you know?
Yeah.
So.
It's nice though. Looks really nice.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's, you know, Swanton is, you know, showing off its patriotism.
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
We, you know, I truly wish more people or more communities did something like this, you know, to honor the veterans this time of year.
There's actually quite a
it's
few. I've been traveling quite long distance. I saw 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they look almost exactly
Yep.
like the
Well,
side
that's good.
flags, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
You know, there's
Smaller flags on the
237
hill in
towns.
Fairfield, so
we have
maybe, I don't know
234 to go.
who thought of it first, but it seems like it's expanding.
Yeah.
Not that any of that matters, but I saw quite a few of those type of displays and I hadn't seen them before.
That's
No,
what I
that's
understand.
great.
I've heard that.
That's great.
And you know what I'd like to see is more women from my hometown heroes. I am the only female who's gonna have a banner. And I would I really don't wanna be the only female with a banner.
Well, I guess start
Please.
somewhere.
Well, there certainly are others.
Yeah, certainly are.
Like Mary
I know
Babcock, I need somebody to give me a picture of Mary Babcock. I'll buy the flag, I buy the banner, I just need the picture.
It's in my mind, but I can't bring
Anyways,
credit.
sorry, I'm running off topic.
All right.
Let's wrap it up.
Well, that's good point. And you have, we're looking for sponsors for 10? You were looking for
I've got
individuals?
14.
14
Right.
sponsors out there, folks. So if you want to help sponsor some really fantastic individuals, that would be great. See Susie Callaher. I think that's the end of our, any other necessary business?
Done?
Okay, we're gonna end the public part of this meeting
No, we need motion.
in motion.
Yeah, so I move that we find that we enter into executive session for the trustees to receive confidential legal information for which the premature disclosure of it would the general public would clearly place the trustees and others at a substantial disadvantage.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a first and second to end the motion, to end the meeting. All in
No, to
favor?
go into executive session.
To go into executive session, the public part, into executive session. Any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? Motion carried to end the public part of this meeting.